episode 2 of Dishin with the Delco Duo. That is like the funnest little theme song.
It is, but it makes you feel like you're like at a mall in the 80s.
Is that what you feel like?
That's what I feel like when I hear that.
I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm at like a dance party type.
In the 80s?
Maybe.
In the 80s?
Roller skating, roller rink. I'm Jenna Meisner, and this is Monica Cryan, of course. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Good. We are the Delco Duo. We had so much fun last week. Yeah. First podcast.
Episode.
Yeah, and you know, it streamed live, but then we also posted it to Spotify. Got tens of downloads. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for wanting to listen to us. Apparently, someone in Virginia wanted to listen to us. They're probably like, what is Delaware County? What is Delco? These women are crazy.
But, you know, we talk about like Delco Duo, but we're solving problems for anyone.
Right.
We just are a little more connected with Delco. So we're always like, oh, Delco Duo. But anyone can send in their problems.
Right. So the basis of the podcast, if you're new here, it's only episode 2, so we're not mad at you. You send us your problems with your significant other, your family member, your neighbor, coworker, anybody, and we give our 2 cents on it, and you can take it or you can not take it.
Leave it, because again, we are not experts. We cannot express.
We need a disclaimer. They are not experts.
Not an expert. But it's fun to kind of get someone else's opinion when it comes to your problems, because sometimes you feel so, not like alone, but you're like, am I crazy?
Right.
Am I crazy? And you're not crazy, and here's why. And then we just kind of talk about, you know, our opinions on it. But
yeah, so if you're back, thanks for joining us again. And if you're new, hello.
Hello. So we actually got enough attention from our last podcast that we were tweeted at to give a little bit of our expertise. So we are going to focus in. We got a tweet that said there's only like a portion of Delco that is actually considered Delco.
This is debated by a lot of people, and I think we actually have that tweet. If we pull that up here, we can give you a look at exactly what that map looks like. So here it is. It's a very official map, as you can see.
This was tweeted at us, so I don't want to hear, like, we did not make this. And Jen and I disagree, obviously, with this. So what it shows, if you can't see, is that really Delco is just considered south of Westchester Pike and east of the Blue Route. And then anything outside of that area,
including Media, where Monica and I are both originally from.
right, is Delaware County, but it's not Delco.
There's a difference. I think people believe there's a difference between true Delco, which is outlined in the light blue there, and then the outside, Newtown Square.
Yeah, you hear, right, and in the inside, you've got like from Havertown, parts of Havertown, Drexel Hill, you've got Fallcroft, Ridley, which is interesting because just a little bit of history. My dad is from Ridley. Your mom's from Glen Olden, which is within that outlined area.
Yes.
We're on the outside from Media.
Yep.
So
That's
some
what I was
people
going
would
to
not
say.
consider us Delco.
It would be interesting to ask this question to our parents.
Yeah.
My mom is a true Glen Olden girl, true Delco. Your
Beautiful.
dad is Ridley. I think they may take a stance that's different than ours.
Right.
But I will agree that like true Delco, when you're looking for that Delco accent, you're looking for the Delco-isms, if you will.
Yeah.
I think you're going to find them more within that area.
Exactly. You're going to find a more concentrated group of people who are Delco in that area. And that's why I tweeted back and I said, I think that's the heart of Delco, what you've outlined. But on the outside, you're definitely going to find a lot of Delco-isms in Media. You're going to find a lot of it in Broomall. Like, the fact that doesn't include Broomall, I'm like, oh, you got to include that. And then you get down even further south, Marcus Hook, Boothwyn, those areas. That's definitely Delco. Chester?
Yeah.
Chester was like the start of Delco because, you know, if you look at the history.
Oh my gosh, of course. Monica needs to make this a history lesson.
I love history lessons. So
Okay, let's
really,
hear it.
a lot of people can trace their Delcoism. It started really kind of in South Philly, and then a lot of people left South Philly. I'm talking 3-4 generations ago.
Okay.
And then a lot of people left South Philly and went to Chester, the city of Chester. my grandparents lived in Chester, and then they moved out and went to Ridley. That's my parents.
Right.
And then they moved out and went to so they just kept spreading further and further out from Delco, but the heart.
Delco has pushed out, but I will agree the heart is there. So
Yes.
that's our take on that tweet. And you mentioned Boothwyn, so let's get right into our topics today. We got a number of issues to get to. We're starting with Betty from Boothwyn. Betty says, our neighbors are too clingy. They always want to hang out, but we like our private time.
That is really hard, especially when you kind of just got into a house or just got into an apartment and all of a sudden you realize your kind of clingy neighbors are worse than mean neighbors and nosy neighbors, because at least they keep to themselves.
Right.
But you've got clingy neighbors and all of a sudden you're like, what do we do?
They're always in your business. For me, I love having good neighborhood relationships. Now, when I was living in Philly, of course, now I'm out in Delaware County. Moving from apartment to apartment, you never really get to know your neighbors that well. I mean, you see them, you recognize them, but you're not hanging out with them that much. I don't think, at least.
Yeah, I have a good relationship with our neighbors right now, but I can't imagine if they were super clingy. Like they keep, a good distance. We talk to each other every so often. We watch their dog when we need to. We go over every so often to watch like a football game or a baseball game, and it's really fun. But if they were clingy, I would then just totally cut it off. That's what.
But you can't do that because they're your neighbor. What if you need sugar?
Then figure it out.
Go to your neighbors for the sugar.
Neighbor sounds so annoying.
See, so I had the same neighbors. I'm talking about my parents' house, so taking it way back to my childhood. Same neighbors. I ended up being best friends with their younger daughter. Right. So we were always together, just playing outside. Now, our parents were very close, but it wasn't like they were constantly over as well. So that's a happy medium. Like if you have kids and the kids are great friends, that's
Very
a good
true.
way to incorporate your neighbor relations. But I think that it does become a problem when they're constantly, do you want to hang out? What are you doing this weekend? What did blah, blah, blah? Like, no.
And it's even, kind of tougher because they know what you're doing all the time. Like, what are you going to do? Like, turn your lights out? Like, that's no way to live anymore.
That's the hardest part of it.
You gotta,
your car's in the driveway. If you have a garage, we're like, get all the cars in the garage. Make them think we're not home. You might have to do that, Betty. I mean, that's unfortunate.
You know what I think Betty's problem is she's too nice, too much fun. If people want to hang out with you, that's like
a bad problem to have, though.
It's like, honestly, I wish that was my issue. I wish more people wanted to hang out with me too much.
Your advice to Betty is be a wet blanket and be mean.
Be a wet blanket.
And your neighbors
stop being so cool,
you.
Betty. Okay. and then maybe your neighbors will leave you alone, because that is no way to live, to have to hide, turn off your lights when you don't want them to know that you're home or around.
And you can't just be like, move. That doesn't happen. Unless my situation, like I was saying, I was in different apartments in Philly. I didn't own anything, but if you're an owner, you can't just be like, all right, I'm
Peace out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to stick it out and just be a wet blanket and no fun, Betty. Betty from Booth.
But okay, Betty.
I guess it's better than having mean neighbors. Like, you hear of some of these horrible stories of just awful neighbors to live next to. Maybe every so often send out a little, not an olive branch, but a little hi, let's hang out. But you control the situation. So let's hang out today, but we're busy the rest of the week. Bye.
It also all depends upon your neighborhood. Are you connected houses? Are you a small yard? Are you isolated? There's so many factors that go into neighborhood relations.
But like you said, if you need a cup of sugar,
exactly,
you want to be able to go to these people.
And they're like, I'm not going to give the sugar to wet blanket Betty.
So Betty went from really, really fun to wet blanket Betty.
That's what you told her to do.
Yeah.
Again, we're not experts. All right, who's up next?
All right, our next one is Marty from Morton. My boyfriend takes the toilet paper off the holder to use it and never puts it back on. Ooh. Why does he take toilet paper off? Why can't he just unravel it from the spinner?
So I think that it all depends. Now, I know in one of our bathrooms, we do have the kind that is it stands up and then the toilet paper's on it. It's not like one of the ones on the wall.
So it's just easier to take off?
So I think for a man, they're larger in there than
I just
I don't know where this is going.
Massive.
For them, it might be harder to use that.
Okay.
I don't know. I can see how this happens, but you have to put it back
You
on.
have to put it back on. That's so inconvenient for the next person to have to go and then put the toilet paper back on. You have to have your toilet paper on the spinner. It has to be.
The question is the toilet paper then like still a roll that's left on the sink, or is it, because there's nothing that bothers me more than leaving an empty toilet paper roll. Like when you see that brown roll there, my explode.
The worst thing is when I think Eugene just used like a little sliver just to leave enough on to look like
So he doesn't have to change it?
So he doesn't have to change it.
Are all men the same?
Yes. like what is so hard about getting out a new thing of toilet paper?
You would think it is the most difficult thing in the entire world, because I feel your pain. And it's not even just like husbands, boyfriends, even if your wife might do it, maybe it's your wife or your, but like kids. Yeah. I know I have done that to my mom before, where I just leave it. But now that I'm older and I like have the house and stuff, I know how inconsiderate that is.
Right. So every time he leaves it off the roller, put it under his pillow. Just like really irritate him with it. If you're going to do that.
Don't put it under his pillow. I would like hide it somewhere in the bathroom.
Because then he's going to be sitting on the toilet and he's got a problem.
Okay,
he's got a dirty booty.
So you're going to put it under his pillow, so is it not going to be there anyway?
I didn't think about that. Do something to really annoy him with that toilet paper so that he's like, I can't keep doing that.
I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sure you can order like a sign off Etsy, like a cute bathroom sign that's like, keep the roll on the holder.
I think she just solved it for you.
Keep the roll on the
Marty
holder.
from Morton.
Go on to Etsy. I'm sure they have something. And
right in front of his face.
He probably still won't listen to it. I'm sure.
No?
So then at the problem, like, I think you're right. Just take the toilet paper and then he can sit there and think about all the times he did it.
Just bring your own BYOT. Bring your own TP. And, bring it in, unravel it, use what you want, take it out and say, if you cannot handle toilet paper like an adult, you don't get any.
BYOTP.
That's going to become a trending hashtag by the end of this half hour.
I don't know about that one.
Bring your own toilet paper. We used to do that like in college. Remember when toilet paper was
like
so
in
gross?
the communal bathrooms?
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived in like a suite type dorm.
You were
so
bougie.
No, I was not. But we, you were only with 3 other people, so it was a never.
And it had its own bathroom?
Yeah, it had one side was the shower and the other side was the bathroom. And then there was 2 dorms, and it was like our own little quad.
Temple did not show that to me when I toured campus.
That's what you get at Temple. You don't have to bring your own toilet paper like at Penn State.
Penn State was not that nice of dorm rooms, but okay. So that's a good idea.
Okay, so either get the sign or take the toilet paper.
Yeah. Take the toilet paper and say, if you can't handle this. But I would go with the sign first.
I think
that's a really good idea.
Though if they look over and there's no toilet paper, I think that will be something that they remember.
Yeah. Like, oh shoot. You know what?
Darn.
I do that a lot. So my biggest issue, not my biggest issue, but one of our issues, because we have a lot. Eugene and I borrow his brush a lot.
His hairbrush?
His hairbrush. And I know I shouldn't, but like sometimes it's just there and I need it. So I'll brush my hair, and then for some reason I go into the other room, like our bedroom, and I'll bring the brush with me. So then he gets out of the shower, likes to style his hair right away, and the brush is nowhere to be found. Every morning I get a text. The brush isn't where it's supposed to be. The brush isn't where it's supposed to be.
That's so strange to me that you share a brush with him.
I'm not supposed to.
What kind of brush does he use?
He uses a nice one, like with the nice bristles. It gets right through your hair very nicely.
Okay. Is it similar to your brush?
Yes.
Me and I don't have any type of similar brushes. That's why
it's very similar to the brush I use. And so that's why I'm like,
he's got some luscious locks.
Have you seen his hair? He's got nice hair. He's got nice hair, and he uses some nice product to style it. Like that's the only thing he
cares about.
Yeah,
appearance-wise.
Appearance-wise, everything else he's just like whatever. But his hair, he takes pride in it. So when I take the brush, he's all mad at me. So
it's kind of like toilet paper.
Yeah,
but less
kind
of
of
an
like
urgent situation.
So then what he said is every time I do that, he's going to buy a new brush. And I said, no, don't do that. And he's like, well, if you keep taking my brush, I'm just going to buy a new brush every time. So then I have stopped using his brush.
But I don't think that translates to toilet paper.
It doesn't.
You always need toilet paper.
It doesn't, and that's why the story is irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm trying to connect the dots of like brush, toilet
I'm
paper.
just saying.
I just can't connect them.
I still like your idea. Get
All
the
right,
sign.
get the sign. Topic number 3, issue, I should say. Sam.
Oh, wait. Before we get to Sam.
Oh, yeah. We forgot to mention what you're looking at today, our beautiful spread.
Yeah, so we have Yingling Lager. They, for the Phillies home opener, which is today. Hopefully you're listening to us today. If not, the Phillies home opener was April Fool's.
Yes.
But so they sent us Yingling Phillies, retro Phillies.
The retro logo.
So
Love
cool.
it.
So cool. The old P and Yingling.
Is that
teaming
what
up.
made you think of bathroom and then you thought of the P on the...
No, I thought we
on
got
the
to do
beer
it now,
can?
or else I'll forget to do it at the end of the show.
All right. Okay, here we go. Issue 3, Sam from Swarthmore. Oh, this one is...
Wait, before we get into Sam's issue,
What?
also,
No,
no.
what?
We'll get to Sam's issue. Swarthmore.
Swarthmore.
So I say Swarthmore,
Swarthmore.
but there's an R. in
Right.
there.
It's silent.
Is it?
No one I know says
Swarthmore.
Swarthmore.
I think my grandmom said Swarthmore.
Okay.
Swarthmore.
Is she you think she's the
She's Delco.
word?
Yeah, she used to work at the she used to work at Swarthmore College, and she said
Swarthmore?
Swarthmore.
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 If you're listening, you tell us what you think it is. My entire life it said Swarthmore.
I've always said
I just
Swarthmore.
ignore the R, even though I feel like R's are rarely silent.
Right. It's a menacing sound. R.
I'm trying
That's
to
why
think
it's
of another
called
word that has a silent R.
I got to do an office quote. That's why it's called murder and not muck duck. Who said that?
I have no idea.
Who do you
I don't
think said
want-
that from The Office?
Michael Scott.
No, Dwight.
Oh my gosh.
R is the most menacing of sounds. That's why they call it murder and not muck duck.
So Sam from Swarthmore or Swarthmore, whatever floats your boat today. I think this is going to be quite a topic. My son has this crazy mother-in-law.
So immediately you're kind of like, wait, what does that mean? My son has a crazy mother-in-law. So it's the mother of the son is married and has a crazy mother-in-law is what I'm guessing.
No, I think it is his son's wife's mom is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is married.
I was not following yours. Yours was
That's
confusing me.
exactly what I just was saying.
Yours was
Thank you
confusing.
for reiterating.
Okay, so Sam, I have a future mother-in-law. I don't have a mother-in-law officially just yet.
Yes.
So I think you could speak
Oh.
a bit better to this.
And I love my mother-in-law. She might even be watching right now, so I'm going to be very, very careful. But there's always crazy mother-in-laws, but then there's crazy moms too. So whether it was the dad that wrote this in or the mom, my guess is the fact that you're writing it in and saying that, your son is a crazy mother-in-law, it kind of sounds like you're a little jealous of their relationship. Sometimes I feel like parents, especially initially when people get married, they start to get jealous of the other side of the family. Like, are they taking the other child away? Are they, bothering them too much? You initially get
I think it's
protective.
also different with a son.
Yeah.
So Eugene, for example, he doesn't have any brothers, right?
No, he does not.
So I'm sure
he's two
it's
sisters.
really hard when he's getting married to a woman. It's like, that's my baby. That's
Right.
my
Oh, yeah.
son.
So initially there's going to be, but I think my biggest suggestion would be self-reflect. Is the mother-in-law really crazy? Or are you just maybe a little jealous of the relationship?
And I would say check in with your son. Like, what does he think?
Right. If
What
he
is-
doesn't think she's crazy,
Right.
then don't worry
Like
about
that,
it.
the whole thing can be avoided if your son's just like, no.
No,
I
I-
don't think that she's crazy.
And just because she's asking us to come over for Thanksgiving and Christmas doesn't make someone
Ugh,
crazy.
it's just so hard. I feel like that, especially when the families aren't close distance-wise, it's really tough to be like, okay, what holiday are you taking? What holiday am I taking?
Don't even get me started on the holiday.
And I think that is why this one a lot of people would be able to talk to. But my biggest thing is you need to check in with the son and see
Yeah.
what the son thinks.
And if the son thinks that the mother-in-law is crazy,
And you guys talk about it,
talk about it. But
don't make
there's
it a
nothing
thing.
you can do.
Right.
There's nothing you can
It's
do.
too late.
And I actually really always appreciated when we first got married, my parents were really are still very good friends with my husband's parents. I love that they have a good relationship. It makes my life so much easier.
Right.
So that instead of always having to do one thing or the other, a lot of times we just bring the two together.
And
so
it's easier that way.
It's so much easier when the two families come together. I don't have to decide what we're doing for Easter, what we're doing for Christmas, what we're doing even for birthdays. Birthdays is always kind of a tough one, but because you always split holidays, but birthdays, like, what do? You know what I mean? Are you splitting that too? But so I feel as though it's always a good idea just to keep the relationship as open and as cordial as possible.
But I would never say, I think you're crazy.
No.
Because that you want to keep it open, but that would be a very bad turn.
Yes.
But I also think that, like, the bride or his wife could be saying the same thing about the other family. Like, I think my father-in-law is crazy. My father-in-law's nuts or something like that. Like, I think this is a conversation you keep with your immediate family and you don't involve your spouse, because then that puts your spouse in a rock and a hard place and they have to just be like, is, you know, my family that I married into versus my real family, and that's just a mess.
You just got to give it some time and give it your best effort, because a marriage is what we always forget. The uniting of two families. It's not just the uniting of two people. It is the uniting of two families, and everybody forgets that.
That's the big tip that I'm going to need.
Yes.
Getting into September.
Absolutely, Jenna. I will help you every step of the way.
I love my future family, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law. So that's not going to be a problem for us. But I think that this is just something that everyone can relate to. I think at times, you know, Tate's family is going to think my mother's insane and will think that they're crazy, but that's just going to be with things that happen.
It doesn't need to be peachy the whole time, but in general, you should have a good.
We're all going to be getting texts from our family. And
I'm not getting any right now.
Eugene's going to be like, Monica, stop.
I'm in the clear.
Talking.
I'm in the clear.
My phone's on. Oh, I'm getting.
No, you are.
Let's see what it says.
Is it from your mom?
Oh, no. It's Tate. He's just saying that the quote was Dwight. Back to The Office.
Yes.
My fiance is a huge Office fan, and I like it. I've seen it, but back to Monica's quote. He was trying to help me out.
Tate was cringing because he couldn't believe he didn't know it was Dwight.
Sorry.
We will, throughout any episode, I will have no issue bringing up an Office quote if it is relevant.
Applicable.
All right. Go ahead. So as you guys know, part of this whole thing is, yes, we bring in people's problems that they sent in to us, but then Jenna and I bring in our own problems because we're all dealing with issues, not just people.
Absolutely.
We are too. So Jenna, go ahead. What is your issue with Tate?
So this is called the grilling showdown, and I call it that. So I'm just going to put this out there right from the beginning. This is not in any way sexist or in any way like the way that I grew up. My dad, my brother-in-laws, my uncles always man the grill.
Man the grill.
Man the grill. So for me, in my personal experience, grilling was always something that a man did.
Yeah.
So again, obviously women can grill. I'm not saying that they can't.
Yeah.
So for dinner, earlier this week, I had texted Tate and I said, would you mind grilling dinner tonight? I think it was Tuesday night when the weather was really nice.
Right. Which is the best time. When the weather turns nice, turn the grill on.
So he said, sure, no problem. So he came home and, you know, with our schedule, it's like we need to eat. We need to go to bed because we wake up very early. So it's like if I don't eat by 5:30, I'm normally starting to spiral.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's
hangry, nauseous.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking I'm not going to have enough time to digest before going to bed. All of that. So anyway, he came in. And he sat down, and I gave him like 5 minutes to sit down.
Were you just staring at him like laser
eyes?
eyes?
I was like, "Did you turn the grill on?" So he turns the grill on, and he sits back down. And like 10 minutes pass.
Doesn't need to heat.
I do know that it doesn't need 10 minutes pass. He has not moved. The food's out. I've prepped it all. I've marinated the chicken. I've cut all the veggies, and I'm like, "Are you gonna put it on the grill?" And he puts his phone down. And he picks it up. And he's like, "If you want to grill so bad, then you do it."
Tate.
But I had asked him, do you want to grill tonight? He knows that I, one, don't know how to work the grill. Like I would ruin the food. And two, what that entails because our schedule's so nuts at the end of the night, trying to get to bed, trying to eat. So we got an argument about it. And I gave him the silent treatment the entire time he grilled. And then it was time for dinner. And I said, I'm not even hungry.
Did he cook your food thoroughly?
Yeah. I said, I'm not even hungry, but I did
punishment.
eat it. I did eat the food, and it was fine, and we're over it. You know, that nitpicking fighting.
Yeah.
What do you think? Was I wrong?
So I initially was thinking, I'm going to side with Tate because every time you bring up a topic, I'm like, poor Tate. Oh my gosh, poor Tate. I have to say, I agree with you.
Thank you.
I think when you say, like, I'm hungry, can you please get this going? Let's move.
Because I know, don't get me wrong, I think he deserves to come home from work and relax for 5 minutes.
But you actually cook dinner a good amount.
Right.
So the one time you're saying.
Every other day of the week, I do. So if it's involving the grill, that's his ground.
Yes.
That is his ground.
Which, as a feminist, I have to say, that is the one thing I totally agree with. I've never touched a grill. I don't even know how to turn it on.
Like, women are like, it's just
We're not
something,
incapable, but I just.
Right, exactly. I'm not trying to say we can't do it. I'm sure there's many women out there who grill and do a great job. Good for you. I just don't do a good job at it, nor know where to start. So my frustration was like, if you say you're going to grill and like we try to eat before 6 o'clock, let's get this moving.
If you asked him to grill every night, then yes, maybe he can control the time a little bit more.
Right.
But this is one night that you're saying, hey, let's do it. And you prepped everything. It's not like you're like inadequately.
All it had to do was heat and put it on. And I know when he sits down, he can really get lost in this thing. A lot of people can get lost in this. And I understand he hasn't looked at it all day. He's been working. But.
No, he's.
Sorry, Tate.
And next time he'll know. He'll know.
I don't think he will because we do this every time he grills. Every time I'm like, are you going to grill? Are we like, let's do this. Let's get this going.
Yeah, because that's like Eugene comes home and if he doesn't like my dinner, I'm like, I'm sorry. I made it. That's what I made, and you can eat it. And he's like, but no one asked you to cook. You need to stop cooking. You're not good at it. And I'm like, but I have to.
And then when you stop cooking, he'll be like, where's dinner?
Or no, he would love to cook. The problem is he's home much later than me, and I need that dinner done.
Yes, and I think someone that works this schedule is only able to understand why we are so strict with I need to eat by this time.
And I think it's whoever is first home is in charge of dinner.
And we're home at literally noon. So we're never going to get out of cooking ever.
In charge of dinner, and that has been Eugene's biggest downfall is he hates my cooking. And I'm like, sorry.
Well, you started doing like the sending the food.
We did. We got those deliverable ones, which is awesome. It just takes a lot of work. And it is
too much prep.
Yeah, it's too much prep. Like they're like dice onions, dice tomatoes, peel a ginger, and then I'm like, what the heck is a ginger? I thought that was the color of my hair. I didn't know that was a food.
I don't even know what it looks like.
I don't know.
I don't know what a ginger looks
is
like.
so pungent.
Oh.
But the thing I order from constantly has ginger. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go, another ginger food.
So in the grilling showdown at the end of the day, Jenna wins.
Jenna wins. I'm sorry, Tate. You gotta.
I just think he needs to remember when I ask him to grill what that means.
Yes.
And I want him to grill tonight.
So
I'm gonna ask him if he wants to grill
Tate,
tonight.
if you're grilling tonight, make sure you do it on time.
Like I sound like I'm like a strict sergeant, but I'm not.
You're not. You were just saying, okay, it took you enough time to turn it on, and now you're just sitting here chilling 10 minutes in.
All right, so we only have a few minutes left, Monica. If people, want to reach us and they want to send us their issues so we can offer a non-expert.
We've been getting some really good issues.
Some really funny ones.
Even ones that we're prepared to discuss next week, and we're very excited for. So we thank everyone for sending them in. Again, all of these names, Betty from Boothwyn, Marty from Morton, Sam from Swarthmore. Swarthmore. That is just names we picked out of a hat.
So we're not going to tell anybody who you are. You don't need to worry about that.
You will remain anonymous, except for Jenna and Tate. And everyone knows your problems.
Our issues, of course, you're going to know that it's us because we're going to talk about them like it is us because we want you to feel like you're a part of our lives.
Exactly.
Because you are. But there's a number of different ways that you guys can send us issues. Social's probably best. We have Instagram. We'll post.
That's where we've gotten most of our submissions. Our Instagram story. We say, like, what are your questions or what are your problems? And people submit them in. And that's been easy. But you can email us, tips@phl17.com.
Twitter, direct message, Instagram, direct message too. But just look out for that little question box. Box.
The question box.
I can't talk. The question box. We'll post it once a week.
Got it. And April Fools, and we are almost done.
Why are you saying April Fools?
No, I'm saying today's April Fools.
I thought I've survived all day without you doing anything.
I thought I survived. I think I survived. but this day is never fun. Head on a swivel.
Yes, and then this will be on phl17.com, and now we're on Spotify too. Like we said in the beginning, if you want to find us, we're on Spotify.
We are on Spotify.
Thursdays, 10:30.
Yep, and then it will be on Spotify.
See you next week.
Bye.